All right, welcome everyone. OpenJS Foundation Cross Project Council. Today's December 10th, 2024, running out the end of the year. We're just talking about how much fun we've had all together in face-to-face conferences. Expect it'll be slowing down for the rest of the year. So do we have any announcements before we get started? Anything?
I think we do have one regarding the GitHub security secure fund, right?
We do. Yep, I don't think that's on an issue. So the Get Secure fund was announced by GitHub. We opted in holistically as a foundation, so all 30 of our projects, or however many projects we have under our roof, are eligible for that $10,000 per project if they meet the criteria. I'm working with the organizers from GitHub to do a town hall meeting, so everybody can be briefed all at once, or at least it can be recorded, and then it can be an interactive Q&A session. So that should be scheduled shortly, I'm hoping. They're coming back.
Actually, I already got an email from GitHub asking me to apply to the program. I'm not sure if anyone else already got it.
Oh, well,
they sent me an email.
Well, we have the organizers plus Abby on a group email, so just you want to just, flip it back, or that would be cool. All right. And we have a standards collaboration space meeting after this. Any other announcements? I know we have another collaboration space that we're going to be putting out a poll on the sustainability to find a new time. So if that's been a conflict for you all, we met yesterday, had a good meeting. So kind of track that channel if that's something of interest to you.
One more, excuse me, one more thing to note. If you have any travel fund expenses that you haven't filed with us yet, please do so in the next week. We're getting towards the end of the year, and we don't want those costs to carry over into 2025. So I'll also be reaching out to folks that have that I can see on the list that we haven't paid out yet to try and remind them, but just for anyone on this call.
And quick question, does anyone need any time at the end of the meeting for a private session? Nope. Okay, same. All right. All right, let's jump in to the issues today. First one, issue 1399, CPC approval of a tiny charter change for Node.js. I read the issue. Michael, would you like to give a little context for folks to weigh in?
I think the only, the goal of the change is just to say that, like, say if you hired a contractor, that contractor is still associated with the company who hired them. So it's just, I don't think it changes anything. It just really just clarifies that those sort of extended relationships should be considered part of what you look at when you're looking at the maximum number of people can be TSC members, that kind of stuff.
And that's a 25% rule from any one company, correct?
Yeah, I think that's the number.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, that looks fine to me. Did this perchance come out of or was spurred by the change to the what was it, the native script charter that they voted to introduce something like that? Or there was conversation about whether contractors in the native script project were considered to be, forget the term that they use, might be affiliated.
That wasn't mentioned in the discussions that I saw, but I don't know what exactly triggered Matteo to add it in.
That could be because we've had pretty good luck having some grant and government funding money allocated toward the Node project. So sometimes we hire, for example, folks from Node Source or other companies to work on that. So Ulysses, you had something you flagged that.
Oh yeah, I add a comment about posted that on the chat about the wording because I was thinking it was too wild. So for example, in the case of freelancer or people that are working as a contractor, it might be a little bit tricky. Also, I was thinking some scenarios like Tildy, for example, that some people have this service arrangement contract with them. So if we count that as a company that you're working and you have a relation with, maybe more than four different individuals from the TSC might have the same kind of vendor relationship. I mean, it was more on the wording rather than the general line. I was totally fine with the general idea. I think it's super clear, but that I think was thinking on the wording, maybe just to clarify what we consider, in terms of affiliations, like just establish, for example, as a minimum amount or as a percentage of your income or something like that. And also a way to track that might be a little bit tricky, especially for people who are doing like freelancing that may work for several companies at the same time. So that might be also tricky to follow up because you might don't know if other people are providing some services with other or whatever. But maybe it was me overthinking and just going too far. So yeah, didn't got a lot of traction my comments. So anyway, and Jordan solved a lot of my comments already. So yeah.
That's a good question. Michael, would you differentiate if somebody had their freelance hat on as opposed to their company hat?
I think it comes down to a little bit of what maybe Ulysses had put in there is like, it depends on how much, right? If you're doing 2% for 50 companies, I'd have a hard time affiliating with them, with anybody. If it's substantial, like, I don't know what the substantial number is, but like, if it's certainly 50% and, I don't know, 25% even. It's hard to, yeah.
I jumped in
So
the middle.
I wouldn't say, Ulysses, that it hasn't necessarily got traction yet. It's only been 2 days and things take a while in terms of getting feedback.
Chris?
I think I raised my hand right as Jordan started talking as well. So Jordan, do you want to?
I can wait. I didn't use the hand thing.
Oh, I'm just pulling. I was also trying to buy myself some time, but I was pulling up my comment in the native script issue because similar question came up, and it was about at what time are you affiliated and etc. And my response was like, well, I'm not a lawyer, but like if you have to ask the question, you've sort of already answered it. Like if you're receiving compensation that's like substantial, like e.g., like not like a gift of $5 gift card to the Starbucks, you are getting it creates a potential conflict of interest. So the bar for that is like fairly low, and trying to like once you're getting compensated, trying to like make that more trying to define those terms further, like Ulysses might be trying to do. I'm not sure. I didn't read the full text of what he wrote. Like just ends up adding a whole bunch of complexity to an issue that I think it's very simply like if you're being compensated like at the current time, you are considered affiliated with that company for sort of what are we trying to avoid? Sorry, my brain is not braining right now, but I think we understand what I'm trying to say. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the actual thing that this is trying to capture is we want to make sure that the opinions aren't unduly influenced by one company. How to translate that into objective rules is, probably impossible. So like we're trying to do the best effort. It's not actually about being given money, but that is a clear objective criteria. It's like, are you being given enough money that you'd be worried about repercussions if you did something that the company didn't like? I don't know how to capture that any better either, but it's like that's why we're talking about percentages and stuff. It's like it's the impossible to answer question in a given context is like, are you being swayed here, or is this what you would answer even absent any influence from that company? So like, I'm saying that to acknowledge the difficulty, but also because if anyone has any ideas about a better way to capture that intention, and we can even write that as the intention and then just say, therefore, this is our best guess for an objective rubric. But if this doesn't apply, reinterpret it with that intention. I'm not sure if this conversation is because I joined late is about Node or native script or
It's
both.
about
But
Node. It's about
okay.
the Node charter change.
Okay. But like but yeah, I think my comment applies to either one. I just was clarifying.
I think it comes down to like, does it help or hurt to make it more specific, right? Like, you know, to Chris's point, you know it when you see it. And like the intent has always been like, we don't want over-representation from any one company, and how you actually define affiliation is like it in most cases it'll probably be obvious one way or the other is the way I was coming from. So like I'm fine with it just saying like, just to be clear, you can't it includes if you're under contract versus an employee, but again, you know, I guess you could make the argument like, hey, if I'm a 10% person, say I'm an employee of a company, but I'm only spending 10% of my time on the project, should I still count or not, right? Like that's similarly to, you know, a contractor who's only getting 10% of their money from the company. So it can get very complicated very quickly, is the Chris.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely still counts, right? It's the standard is like, could your relationship influence your decisions or give the appearance of influencing decisions? And so 10% like certainly meets that criteria.
Well, I
Right?
mean, the company's paying 100% of your salary, so it doesn't matter how little of your time is spent on the project. That is a large influence on your opinions potentially, and it's what like it'll seem that way or be that way. It doesn't really matter which one it is.
Claudio?
If I'm allowed to speak something, I think I might be an edge case here, maybe not, because HubSpot has nothing to do at all with any of my open source contributions. Like,
I'm having
Hubspot-
trouble hearing
Yeah.
you, Claudio.
Yeah, you're a little quiet.
Can you folks hear me better now?
That's better now. Thank you.
Okay. I was just going to say that I might be just an outliner here, but like although it's written HubSpot Inc. on my Zoom because they're kind of logged in, HubSpot has like no influence with any of the contributions I do, nor they endorse, nor they pay me for any of them, nor anything. So what is in this situation? Like I'm not being paid for this,
Yeah, that's
right?
different. So
Is it? But
Yeah.
you just mentioned something that is about the outlook of it. As it might sound that HubSpot has influence on my contributions because I represent HubSpot. So when it applies, when someone just says, no, I can attest that HubSpot has nothing to do with it,
Well,
how do you know they're lying or not?
What-
I
well,
don't know.
it's not about having zero influence. It's just avoiding over representation. If there are 60% of the governing body that work at HubSpot, then it doesn't matter even if none of them are getting paid to work on Node. The fact remains that HubSpot can exert leverage over 60% of the governing body. So I would say that you count, but that doesn't materially impact your involvement with Node until a bunch of HubSpot employees end up, in those positions of authority.
I would also say
I-
people who are working on behalf of their company, 99% of the time do what's best for the project, not for their company too. So, yeah.
Mhm. Well,
I
I
would
think
also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. I would just to finish the commentary. I think I would wonder if the company can enforce or force the employee to exert something towards their open source project when they have nothing mentioned in the contract. Like how they force you to be biased towards your employer. But I think that's a discussion for another time. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just comment quickly. Force is a strong word.
Yeah.
Influence is a softer word that might be more accurate. You know, it probably, especially at larger companies, would not really happen, not really a risk, but like, you don't know. And so that's why you have clauses about.
Yeah.
You don't
I
know.
mean, the contract
Makes
is sort of
sense, yeah.
irrelevant. This isn't a legal enforcement mechanism or control mechanism. It's just like if you piss off the wrong people, your career at a company, your career is negatively impacted. And so you don't even have to have a conversation with those people for their desires to influence your thinking.
Right. Yeah. So just sort of wrapping this up, I think the one thing I think we found over time with governance, or even if you're even writing public policy, is less is more. I mean, there's so many, again, edge cases and arguments. You want sort of the general guidelines. I mean, we're sort of precise on the 25%, but I think keeping the intent clear probably makes the most sense without completely writing a whole narrative around it.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, and again, like over optimizing a solution for something until we know where there really will be a problem.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. All right, are we ready to move on to the next couple of issues or issue? So the next two, I believe there are two. No, actually, they're coming up. All right, we'll wait on those. The next one is audit new project application process and implementation. We had some emails go into Never Neverland. I think we've sort of cleaned those up, right?
Yeah, so we fixed the immediate issue, which was that we didn't have a moderator on this mailing list. So that's been sorted, and we've seen an application come through, which is great. There's a longer term item here, which is to align this process with the other CPC processes that we have, like travel fund stuff. So I'm going to try to work on that next week. If it turns out to be a little bit of a lighter week, that's a good time for me to work on that. But yeah, the immediate issue is resolved.
How do you?
Could you share the name of the project that tried to apply? Because
We're streaming
what-
live, so, or we're recording, so we can do it in a private session at the end.
oh, okay, because there was a project I actually asked them to apply to the foundation.
Oh, okay. We can
So I'm
save,
not sure
we
if
can
that's
do
the
a, we
project.
can have a little private session at the end. I'll save the last, okay. Cool. Okay. Now the next two are about native script, and I believe we do not have, do we have a native script rep on the call? I don't think so. The question is, do we want to save it for when we do have somebody? Or do we want to get some general discussion going now?
I mean, I would say general discussion, except I think it's going to be the same general discussion that we just had about the Node project.
Agreed.
We're trying to impose the same spirit of avoiding overrepresentation. That's like, or they're trying to impose that on themselves, I guess.
Mhm.
But I see Chris's hands up.
Chris?
Yeah, we did talk about this a little bit, I think. Yeah, we did. And I think the next step was that there was going to be a meeting, looking at the last comments here, that Toby, I think, was going to attend.
I believe Toby did attend, Toby did attend a meeting. He said he still needed to debrief folks, but he's out today, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I think that seems like probably the next step there. So I think without Toby, probably nothing for us to talk about yet.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Okay. Next issue, 1378, express graduation. I believe we can close that issue. A big congratulations, Express. Lots of good things happening there.
Yeah, I think I still have some to-dos on that. Like for example, yeah, there's a a comment a little bit further up from
Yeah.
Ben's voting picture. So yeah, we just need to create a PR against the README and the website. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ulysses, I agree. I think the blog just sort of summarizing where Express is with the rebooted governance. Do you want to share about the Sovereign Tech Fund? Yeah.
Yeah, can be a good option, like to do a kind of rewind of what we achieved this year and what's going to happen next and what was going to change, because yeah, STF will be a big foil for the project for the next year. So yeah, and as we have a lot of milestones defined, it might be a good option also to give that overview to the public. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. All right, so we will work with Jen Shelby, our marketing on our side, and we'll help you with that. And you know, I have enough of the background, but maybe we just sit and interview a couple of you folks, or we come to your TC meeting and do a quick little interview. So how's that? Some good stuff. Love that. Next up. Migrate project status repo back here, issue 1374. That's Toby. So it looks like maybe we can close that out after Ben's last comment.
Maybe. So I think the decision has been made, but the work hasn't been completed. So I would say we probably leave this open, and this probably, yeah, I think this should remain open, and like we need to move all the stuff that's in the old repository over to this repo, and then we can close this out.
Okay. Should we take the agenda label off?
Yeah, I think so. I'll do that.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, issue 1367, create process docs to request infrastructure resources. I think I've seen some of this already happening, so Ben, do you want to give an update?
I think so. I'm just looking at the latest here. Yeah, there's some minor typos here, and I still want the IT team to outline the services that we provide clearly. And that includes some of the SaaS products. So,
Like LFX is what you're talking about? Yeah.
oh no, like Cloudflare.
Oh, Cloudflare. Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
like
Our
that.
vendor. Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have a meeting with them today, so I'll bring this up again. I just want this to be more detailed before we close this out. So this is still open.
Great. Now, we do have a blog coming out. I've already shared the information at NodeConf that Azure has, come through with all of our credits for the foreseeable future. So we're good there. So if you need any cloud services for your projects, we've got you covered there.
Yeah, that was late breaking as of last week, and I think me and IT have gotten our account set up with Microsoft. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use Microsoft's product for certificate signing because it's much cheaper than DigiCert. So we're going to be moving forward with that, which is exciting. Save us some money.
Yep. All right. Next issue. Review Webpack's new governance model. Issue 1363. Claudia, do you want to give an update?
Yes, I think we're finally ready for review from the CPC, which means the CPC can then head to the pull request and do their votes. We finished applying all the changes requested initially by Toby. So, and he also approved the PR, but just in his eyes, it's good, but we need consensus here. Yeah, that's exciting.
It is exciting. It's been open for a little bit, so can we ask everyone before they leave for their holiday that they give a review and a thumbs up? Por favor.
Great.
However you say it in
Por favor.
Portuguese. Yes, how do you say it in Portuguese in Portugal? Okay. Great. Next issue, let's see, match repo structure to README process and policy section, issue 1345. Anyone have an update on this? We may work on this in the next working session. I don't believe we did work on this in the next working session unless it was one I missed.
Nope, no movement.
Okay. Code of conduct, plan of action. I know Toby's been tracking some of these issues. Anybody have any updates on that front?
Just to quickly rewind to the last issue, unless there, if anyone objects, I think we can remove the CPC agenda label to the README issue. There will still remain a working session label on it, but I think it's okay if we don't have it on the agenda for this meeting.
All right. I think one thing I forgot is any on staff issue updates and legal issue updates. So let's go to on the staff issue updates. The continuity policy and package registry. We have archiving hospital run, and then we have the workshop. Any updates? I have one on the workshop.
I haven't been able to work on the continuity policy for NPM and package registries yet. Archive hospital run project, I'm still poking around trying to get their NPM credentials. That's kind of the last thing. Everything else is done on that one. Those are my updates.
Awesome. On the nonviolent communication, we have a couple of great folks leading that. Thank you, Wes, for the recommendation for Elise. I met with them the day before Thanksgiving, and we really went through the agenda, which I'll share. What I also did is we did a culture and diversity workshop at the Node Collab Summit, and I know that doesn't reflect the entire organization. But I sent the results of that to the organizers as well. They were working on some time options for us. They had wanted to do it in 2 4-hour blocks. And I thought that might be a heavy lift since most of us, you all are volunteers and doing this on your own time. So I'm asking them to break it up. Would you all be open to doing these in 4 2-hour sessions? I know that's a lot for folks, or
When they wanted to do 2 4-hour blocks, like, so you would be in there for 8 hours, or the 2 different groups would be in there for 4 hours?
it'd be 8 hours, but a lot of that is sort of workshopping and things like that, right? Kind of role playing, doing breaking out and that becomes really difficult with time zone also. So that was
Right.
another issue. So.
Was it going to be one session with everybody or a couple sessions? Like, I'm just thinking it would make sense to do one like North America time and one Europe time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wonder if it would be good to get feedback from the participants, right? Like, is it harder to commit to 2 hours over 4 different times, or like, is it, I don't know which is going to be harder for people. Like, it might be easier to just say, oh, I'll take a block a day and that's the end of it, versus making sure you can make 4 different days. But I can't speak for everybody, so it might be worth getting some feedback on that.
Okay. We're paying them to do, it's an 8-hour program, so 2 4-hour blocks essentially, and how we split it up. So I think if we did it in 2 time zones, that would increase. I don't know how much more our budget, but if that's something we want to look at, we're certainly open. What do y'all think?
Yeah, but you're talking about 2 4-hour blocks all for the same people is what you're.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, my suggestion was if we were doing it for less people twice, then it would make sense to have 2 time zones. But if it's only one session, the 2 time zones just makes it hard for everybody. I don't know.
We did it at the LF, not with a different vendor. We only did 1 hour sessions, and I really didn't think that was quite enough because you end up just listening the whole time, which is not completely helpful if it's not interactive, so. Okay. Well, I will send, I know we have kind of a master sort of list or a comprehensive list, I should say. And I can maybe send an email to folks and ask. Chris?
Yeah, I think probably for reasons that were already stated, I do think the 4-hour blocks are probably easier. From the perspective of having otherwise to schedule multiple other days for things.
Okay.
So given enough advance notice, I think people can make that time.
Mhm.
I think we're optimizing here for like the Americas and Europe for most participants, and so fortunately US time zones probably gonna win out, so we're not here in the middle of the night, and our European friends will be there in the
Yeah.
evening but still at normal waking hours, and I think that should be doable.
Their first suggestion was 9 a.m. Eastern, and I'm like, well, I'm up at 5, but I don't think my friends here are on the West Coast, so.
I think 9 a.m. Pacific
Mm.
time would probably be okay.
Or maybe 8, yeah, okay. Okay, well, I will do that. I'll take that feedback. I'll also, again, do a kind of a poll and a head count to our broader maintainer list, kind of project leads list. Awesome, okay. I think, oh, let's hit the legal. I think I had that open already. Any updates on legal?
I do have one, but hang on, I'm looking to see if the bug is, or the issue is still there, so hang on.
Today's my compliance deadline. We do quarterly reports with the DOJ and the FTC, so today's that day. So.
Okay, pseudo anonymity for easy CLA. So we have enabled that. But the CLA document isn't updated yet, and I have been going back and forth with our legal team to get this document updated. It should be something I can update, but something is wrong somewhere, and it won't allow me to do so. So I've been escalating this. So this is on my radar. It'll get sorted and it'll get added as soon as possible. The legal stuff is all done now.
Cool.
And so what we've done, I just be clear, is we've removed the address. The person just has to enter their country. That's as specific as we get. And country is required because there are certain countries that are sanctioned countries, and we need to know about that.
Okay. Any questions? Awesome. So any other business thoughts before we close out the recording and we can go to a quick private session? No? Okay. Ben, you want to stop recording, please? Thanks, everyone.